Alright, how's it going guys? Sam here again with another video. We're going to be going over the 2 challenges from the Ruin Dungeon. That's actually the rarest achievement currently, is getting those both completed. So I'm going to go ahead, make a guide for both of those challenges, and just going to highlight the main facts for what I would do for both of them. So going to go ahead, probably skip to, I don't know, 15-16 minutes into it. You don't need to watch the full thing obviously. So I will see you guys then. Alright guys, so challenge 1, it's gonna be the shadow event, which is just on all the time basically. So goes, they don't damage you, instead they actually heal you, so you don't have to worry about them really. And then every time you cast an ability you suffer 50 damage, so you can't mitigate that, you can't avoid it. So things like defense are very important here. And then you want to go a character that's not really constantly casting. And so I kind of recommend the Crusader for this instance. I'm going to be going the Nomad Heritage just because rerolls are always helpful. And I'm going to go ahead and skip here to like 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to be playing at 200%, so it's not going to be that bad. But we'll go ahead and show you the passives and the actives that I've chosen to go forward with. Okay guys, so hit level 30, just wanted to show you guys this because the new Crusader does cast. Your HP is going to be going down a little, but you're really going to be focusing on using Colorless Glyph and the Crusader aura for the majority of your damage. So we're going to be going the Divine Aura path because it's going to be doing significantly more damage with that aura. We don't want to go Smite. Smite is really strong, but I think for this specific challenge, Divine Aura is always going to be the best choice. As you can see, for the most part, your HP is just going to be going down slowly, but one of those ghosts is going to be coming in whenever you're like close to half. And for the most part, you're not going to be getting touched by too many enemies. With the new Crusader's damage in general, you do significantly more with that aura, so you're much stronger, so you don't really have to worry about too much. Gonna go ahead, probably skip to like... We'll just go over the bosses. Actually, I won't skip right now, just because the boss is going to spawn. But for the most part, you don't really have to worry too much about the enemies. In regards to actives, you obviously don't want a bunch of weapons abilities, because the more you cast, the more damage you're going to be taking. And you also don't want to go SP Regen, because you don't want your ability going off that often, because you will take a ton of damage. And that is not what we're looking for. Obviously, you're going to want to go things like skill size. I love Ascension. Ascension is a great pick here because Ascension just does tons of damage. And like you saw, the boss dies so quickly now with the new changes to the Crusader. So Crusader's a very safe pick. Passives, really you just want to go defensive passives. Curse is good. You have, you know, EXP obviously, max skill size, flat damage is always going to be good in these situations. I think Death Sting is still fantastic, especially when you're going Colorless Glyph and the Crusader aura, so I think that's a great pickup. I only picked up one Miniaturize because it was just the best pick of a bad situation. And then I have max HP and some HP regen. Max HP doesn't really matter because you're always going to be taking the same amount of damage. However, just in general, I think it's good to have in case something does hit you enemy-wise. But for the most part, you're going to be able to do this for all of the bosses and everything like that. So I'll go ahead, skip ahead. I'm not going to touch any of the crystals in this situation because I just want to do it without touching the crystals. So I'll skip to the second boss and we'll take a look at how easy that is as well. Okay guys, here's the second boss. This is the piggy that summons those little, like, I don't know, call them goblin riders or something. And as you can tell, dies just as simple. This couple of minutes is one of the harder minutes just because there are a lot of projectiles coming at you, but for the most part, as long as you have your defensive stats up a little bit and you have some okay HP regen, like right now my HP regen's only level 4, you should be good to go. So really simple. Gonna go ahead, skip to the third boss so we can take a look at that, and I will see you guys then. Oh, and here's the level 60 evolution. So this is gonna double our size, and then this one is going to inflict 2 times base damage at all times every time your weapon skill is used. The additional attack has a 6 times base damage. So whenever the weapon skill goes off, it does 6 times damage, and then the aura inflicts 2 times base damage just all the time. I'm gonna go with Emyreal Presence just because we're going that Death Sting passive, and because we have Death Sting going, we want to be dealing damage as often as possible, not as much damage as possible. So Emyreal Presence is gonna make it to where it's actually larger than Colorless Glyph for the time being. And then once we get Colorless Glyph to max, we're gonna be able to have 2 of these circles almost at the whole screen for the most part, a little bit off it even. So gonna go ahead, we'll skip to the third boss, and I will see you guys then. Alright guys, third boss is about to spawn here. As you can see, I moved down a little bit. That was because since I didn't pick up any item pickup range or the cloak, so you know, cloak at level 5 brings things towards you, and you aren't allowed to have pets during these challenges. I moved down because when enemies die in walls, it actually brings the gem to the closest in, you know, zone. So by staying next to the wall, it just makes it a lot easier for you to get those all for free. It's really nice. And then there's a lot of guys dying up here, and I just walk up for a second and I get a bunch of levels. So third boss, he's below us. That's one of the negatives about being down there, actually, is that the bosses spawn pretty far away from anywhere you can actually damage them, unfortunately. Oh, that was a big EXP drop. And the boss died pretty fast. I mean, very simple, not really that big of a deal. I'm taking a little bit more damage because I'm moving. Try and stay still if you can in this, because it's a lot easier. It's going to be faster for those specters to get to you. Oh, nice. And size plus 50%. We're golden. And then I'm going to go back down here. Just going to be waiting. I'll go ahead and skip to the last boss, and then we'll kind of do a brief overview for the whole thing. Alright, last boss spawning here. Spawning below us, so that's kind of gross, but no big deal. It's gonna die pretty fast. Don't really have to worry about it. Just dodge a little bit. no issues. So yeah, Colorless Glyph really popped out all the damage. I mean, 30 million. That's pretty nice. Our weapon skill did 7 million, so also good. I'm not sure if it counts the damage when you hit the Death Sting proc for, you know, 99,000. I'm not sure if that gets counted into it. I feel like your numbers would probably be a lot higher, so I'm guessing it doesn't, but still, Colorless Glyph amazing. So let's go kind of over the whole thing. So this is going to be for challenge number 1, which is the specters are constantly spawning, but they actually heal you, so don't run away from them. And every single time you cast an ability, you're going to be taking damage. You can't mitigate that damage, and you can't like get rid of it in any way. So you're always going to be taking that damage. It's something you just got to deal with. In regards to character select, so the character I went with is Crusader. The reason being because the aura is really great AoE damage. It helps you stay safe from other enemies hitting you. And if you avoid taking damage from enemies, the cast of the aura, it doesn't deal enough damage to you from the challenge like special ability that you're just going to be able to heal every single time. Throughout this whole challenge, I did not go below half health, so it is very simple. I think I went below maybe on the third boss, and that's because I was moving too much, but still, super easy. If you don't want to play the Crusader, the Whisperer is also a really good choice here, because your cast is so high when it comes to how much SP you need, so you're only going to be casting a handful of times, and the Whisperer actually does heal when they deal damage with their cast, so also a very good choice. Would recommend it. In regards to heritage, I always go Nomad. Nomad is gonna forever be the best heritage for me, just because it lets you dig for those skills that you're looking for, and I think it's really important in this one that you don't pick up any weapon abilities, because if you do, you're going to be casting more skills. That's going to be making you take more damage. So having Nomad, you're going to be able to re-roll whenever you get in a situation where sometimes there are 4 active weapons that you have to choose from, and there's no passives you could take, so highly recommend it. In regards to active weapon skills, the only ones you want, Ascension. Ascension is fantastic. It is always a good pickup. It's especially good in this situation. I picked up Spectral Sword just for fun. You don't really need it. As you could tell, it didn't really do that much damage. I just think it's nice. It's fun to have. And then Colorless Glyph is the main thing, because you only cast it one time, so you don't really ever take damage from it. It kind of is a tiny little loophole for this challenge, so it's very simple. It's great. Now, in regards to passives, there's a couple that are more important than others, and it really depends on how you're playing. So if you're going to be going the Death Sting route, which is where you get Death Sting and you kind of use Colorless Glyph and your aura to deal as much, not as much, but as damage as many times as possible, Death Sting is huge. So you want to make sure, obviously, for this challenge, since we're going to be constantly taking damage, you get HP regen and you get max HP. Those two, very important. Then Death Sting, if you want to go that route, very important as well. Miniaturize, it's not the most important thing in the world. There are situations, I think 3 times in the map, where there's enemies that do shoot projectiles. If you have Miniaturize, you can kind of negate those issues, but if you don't take enough damage. I was standing still with no Miniaturize, and I was not taking anywhere close to a ton of damage. So it's kind of just, if you would like to be safer, Miniaturize, good choice. EXP, always a good pickup, never a bad time. Max weapon size. Now this one's really important because it pairs up with Colorless Glyph and your weapon skill very well. Makes it to where no enemies will be able to see you on the screen. Fantastic. Damage, just pick this up for fun. It's a safe pickup for you. It actually does something. Curse, I think, is huge because Curse just helps you clear the screen. It's a lot of extra damage, and it's a lot of extra damage procs for Death Sting to go off. Shield, I just picked up for fun. It was just one of the choices. I didn't really care. It's nice to negate one instance of damage, but not really that important. I only had 1 level in defense as well. Again, wasn't taking any damage from mobs, so not that important. Amount I picked up because there were situations, like I was talking about earlier, where it was multiple weapon skills and amount, and my build was already pretty much figured out, so I just picked up amount for fun. It doesn't do anything with this specific build. Movement speed, cool, but not important. I didn't move. And then crit chance is actually a good choice to pick up if you're not going that Death Sting route, because crit chance is huge with Colorless Glyph, and the aura does a ton of damage. Now, in regards to location, there's 2 spots, well, really anywhere with a wall is a good idea, but there's 2 spots that I would recommend going. The bottom where you spawn, so like you spawn, just immediately walk down, that's a fantastic location because all of the enemies that die below you, those gems are just going to come straight to you. You don't have to move towards it. And then there's only one other direction for the enemies to come to you. You want to make sure you limit how many directions the enemies can attack you from. The other location is kind of in the middle of the map. There's that like chasm below you where the crystals can occasionally spawn, and then there's just a left hallway and a right hallway. So again, now there's 3 directions for enemies to come from, but the majority are going to come from the bottom. And just like the area at the beginning, if you kill them in that black chasm, the gems are going to come straight to you, so it's so much easier to level up that way, and you don't have to waste any skills on item pickup range or Emyreal cloak. So just recommend you stand down there. The bosses you don't really have to worry about. The 3rd boss is kind of annoying because you do have to move a little bit, but just make sure you stand as still as possible. This makes it a lot easier for those specters to get to you as quickly as they can. Since there's no pets, you don't have to worry about the pets. And in regards to the weapon evolutions, just go the one that has the aura. Divine Aura is really good, just makes your aura do more damage. For the level 60 evolution, you can pick whichever one you want, it doesn't really matter. I went with the skill size because then I was off screening everything. But you can go with the other one because that increases the damage. So if you have Colorless Glyph to max level, it's already huge. And if you have that super increased damage in the middle, nothing's going to touch you. So both work very well, just in different ways. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and let me know down below. I'm going to go ahead and make another video on the 2nd challenge. That's probably going to come out like tomorrow. So if you guys have questions about the 2nd challenge, you can check that video out. And as always, I really appreciate the support. Hope to see you on the next one. Lights.